Okay, so get this, today on the deep dive, we're tackling, well, sex.
Sex,
We're
yeah.
going all in.
Nice.
We've got this kind of like a sex tutorial document.
Interesting.
And it's going to be our guide
Okay.
as we sort of unpack all the different positions, oral sex, all the things people are really interested in.
All the juicy details.
But we want to do it in a way that's like, you come away knowing a lot more than you did before.
Exactly. This deep dive is all about, taking all this information. It's a lot of information.
Right.
We've got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
But we want to make it, digestible and find those key takeaways.
Yeah.
And make it memorable without, totally overloading you. I think we've got some really interesting stuff in here.
I think so, too.
Stuff that people will find, surprising even.
Okay. So let's start with the basics, or maybe not so basic. The tutorial jumps right into sex positions.
Okay.
And, it makes the point that missionary is common. Everybody knows missionary. But, there's a whole world out there.
Right.
And it's not just about being kinky or anything.
No.
It's about, different positions can bring you closer.
Absolutely.
They can make things, more intense. They can...
Yeah, you can go deeper in certain positions.
Deeper, yeah.
And even, some of them are just more exciting.
Oh, yeah, because they're a little difficult.
Yeah, the challenge, the novelty.
Right.
That can really spice things up.
Exactly. So, one that caught my eye was Astride.
Astride, yeah.
So that's a woman on top, but facing the guy. Right.
Yeah, so she's in control, basically.
Oh, I see.
Whether she's squatting for more of a, bouncing motion or kneeling so she can use her hands to kiss him, caress him.
Interesting. So, even within Astride, there's variation.
Exactly. And the tutorial even mentions, if she wants to lie along his body, that can be more intimate. But facing away, that can lead to deeper penetration.
Deeper, yeah.
So it's even the way you position your body,
right? It's
a way of communicating.
Yeah.
Non-verbally.
That's really interesting.
What about you? Anything jump out at you?
Well, crawl sounded kind of
oh, yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
Woman's on all fours, guys kneeling behind.
It's a classic.
Right. The tutorial was saying it's good for really vigorous lovemaking.
Deep penetration.
Deep, yeah.
Plus, the guy has easy access to caress her breasts, her buttocks, the clitoris.
So, hands are free.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
There's even a standing variation where she's bent over, maybe using some furniture for support.
Oh, right. Bracing herself?
Yeah, it's definitely in that urgent category.
We'll get to that later.
We will. But yeah, it's interesting. The tutorial says it's more for, vigorous rather than tender lovemaking.
Right, different strokes for different folks, right?
Exactly. Different positions for different moods, different desires.
So then there's cross, which I'm picturing is it kind of like a diagonal thing?
Yeah, so she's on her back. He's kind of diagonally across her. Allows for a gentle rocking motion.
Okay.
And, they say the reverse could be easier too.
Oh, the woman on top.
Yeah, so she's in control of the movement.
I see. Interesting.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Now this one, head to toe.
Head to toe, yeah.
So he's on his back.
Legs spread.
Legs spread.
And she's on her back too, but her legs are kind of up by his head.
Oh, okay. So they're facing opposite directions.
Exactly.
That's wild. So not a lot of eye contact there.
No, not really. But the tutorial says she's in control and that the sensations are concentrated on the genitals.
Okay.
It can even start from a sitting position.
Really?
Yeah, with their legs interlaced, and then they kind of, ease into that head-to-toe position.
That's a new one for me.
It's definitely unique.
Okay, so then we've got lap, which sounds a little more, I don't know, cozy.
Yeah, lap's nice.
So he's sitting. She straddles him.
Facing him, usually. Lots of opportunity for kissing, caressing.
Right.
And again, she controls the pace.
The woman's in charge.
It's a good one. They say it's good on a sofa or even a dining chair.
Ooh, spicy.
And of course, if she wants deeper penetration, she can just turn around.
Makes sense.
Maybe use the back of the sofa or something for support.
Right. Okay, well, we got to talk about missionary.
It's a classic.
Right, but even the tutorial, breaks down why it's so popular.
It's comfortable, familiar. Get that body contact.
Skin to skin.
Yeah, and good penetration. You can kiss, hold each other.
Right. And it mentions some variations I hadn't even thought about.
Oh, yeah.
The woman, she can clasp her legs behind the guy.
Right.
Or tuck them under him, and he can spread his legs more.
It's all about those little adjustments.
Little tweaks.
Yeah, can make a big difference.
That's cool. Now, they also have a section on positions for pregnancy.
Oh, that's important.
Right, because, like, things change.
Your body changes, yeah.
So spoons, they say, is good for later in pregnancy.
Yeah, no pressure on the abdomen.
Right, and you can still be close, cuddle.
Kissing, caressing.
Yeah. And then leapfrog.
Leapfrog.
So she's on her hands and knees, leaning forward.
It's a good one if she's feeling that pressure on her belly.
Right.
He's behind her, so he can control how deep he goes.
That makes sense. Side by side just sounds nice and relaxing.
Yeah, it's like a natural progression.
For what?
Maybe they were just lying there, being close.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe doing some mutual masturbation.
Right.
And then they kind of ease into it.
It's a good transition.
Yeah, easy for kissing, touching.
And it said she can wrap her leg around him for deeper penetration.
Simple but effective.
Right. Split level is another one I hadn't heard of.
So for split level, she wraps her legs around his waist.
Okay.
He's kneeling.
Kneeling.
So he's in control, depth, angle,
Yeah.
and his hands are free.
Oh, for other things.
Yeah, like clitoral stimulation.
Right, right.
And then, you can transition from there.
To what?
To missionary. Or maybe she puts her legs on his shoulders for even deeper penetration.
It's like a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's all very fluid.
I like that. Okay, spread eagle.
Spread eagle.
So she's face down.
Uh-huh.
He's on top.
She spreads her legs. He kind of supports himself on his arms.
Okay.
They say a pillow under her hips can help with deeper penetration.
Oh, I see.
He can even lie with his full weight on her.
Oh, wow.
And then from there,
Yeah.
it's easy to roll into spoons.
Okay.
And she can, close her legs,
Okay.
or he can close his legs to vary the sensation.
It's all about options, isn't it?
It is. And finally, we have urgent.
Urge.
For when you just, you gotta have it.
Right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Minimal undressing.
Okay.
Maybe she leans on a piece of furniture.
Hmm.
He enters from behind.
Quick and dirty.
Quick, exciting, lots of mutual thrusting.
It's good to have options, right?
Always good to have options.
Okay. Well, let's move on from positions
Okay.
and talk about oral sex,
All right, let's get into it.
starting with cunnilingus.
Okay.
So the tutorial points out, some women, they like a little extra.
A little extra something.
Yeah, like maybe fingers in the vagina or the anus,
No. Okay.
maybe hands on the breasts, even holding the labia apart.
For more direct contact.
Right. It's about, finding out what she likes.
Communication is key, as always.
Right. And of course, there's the whole taste and smell thing.
Yeah, that comes up.
The tutorial's advice, just ask her to wash.
Practical.
Right. And it says a clean vagina, it's a good taste.
For many.
Yeah, it might be an acquired taste.
But a good one.
And then as she's getting close to climax, faster, more rhythmic stimulation is good.
But don't rush it.
Right. You got to pay attention.
To her cues, her breathing, her movements.
Right.
You'll get a feel for it.
Now, what about cunnilingus during menstruation?
They address that too.
Do they?
Yeah, they say if you're concerned, wait.
Okay.
Or maybe she can use a tampon or a diaphragm.
Uh-huh.
But they make it clear there's no danger if the partner's healthy.
Okay, that's good to know.
And some women even find that orgasms help with cramps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it can actually be a positive thing.
Interesting. Okay, so then there's fellatio.
Right, the art of the blowjob.
Right, the tutorial, keeps it pretty simple.
Yeah, they emphasize practice.
Practice makes perfect.
Exactly. And, lips and tongue are your main tools.
Right.
Varying the pressure, the rhythm, that's what works for most guys.
Okay. They do talk about the smell and taste again.
Yeah, they say if it's unpleasant, maybe he should shower.
It makes sense. And they have this funny line.
What's that?
Your mouth has more germs than a clean penis.
That's a good point.
Right. Puts things in perspective.
It does.
And they say, every guy's different.
Sensitivity varies.
Yeah. So pay attention to his sounds, his body language.
Absolutely. See what he responds to.
They also say, use your hands.
A wet mouth, a saliva-slicked hand, it's a classic combo.
Now, they have a whole section on 69.
69?
Agitated oral sex, right?
In theory.
Right.
It's hard to do both well at the same time.
Right. Especially if you're not, experienced.
Yeah. They suggest start by focusing on one partner.
Makes sense. Then there's the whole swallowing thing.
Yeah, that's a personal preference.
For both people.
For sure. For some guys, it's really important.
Really?
Yeah, like an act of love, acceptance. But a lot of people just don't like the taste.
Yeah, I can see that.
So communication is key.
Beforehand.
Exactly. Talk about it.
Now, they have some tips on making
Making it taste better.
yeah.
Interesting.
So they break it down by food.
Like what he eats.
Yeah, so alkaline foods like meat, fish, that can make it bitter, or fishy.
Oh, okay.
Dairy, they say, is the worst,
No, worse.
apparently, and asparagus.
So asparagus.
That makes it even worse somehow.
Yeah, who knew?
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
acidic fruits, sweets, even some alcohol.
Alcohol.
They specifically say Rolling Rock, Kirin, and Seka,
Interesting choices.
but not processed liquors.
Okay.
Those can make it taste more pleasant, even sugary.
Huh, that's fascinating.
And for the really curious, they list all the things that are in semen.
All the ingredients.
Yeah, like ammonia, ascorbic acid, all kinds of stuff.
I'm not sure I want to know.
Zinc is in there.
Well, there you go.
It's very detailed.
It is very thorough.
Okay, moving on to the clitoris
Okay.
and the female orgasm.
A big topic.
Right. And the tutorial, like right away, it addresses the pressure women feel.
To perform?
Yeah, to have these like movie orgasms.
The Hollywood ideal.
Right, which is totally unrealistic.
It is. And they debunk Freud's theory, too.
Oh, about the vaginal versus clitoral orgasm.
Exactly. They say Kinsey's research and all the evidence since then, it shows there's really just one type of orgasm.
Okay.
Triggered by clitoral stimulation and involving the circumvaginal muscles. As are the muscles around the vagina.
Oh, okay.
That contract during orgasm.
Interesting. So, like, it's all connected?
Yeah, it's not two separate things.
That's good to know.
It is. They also compare orgasms from masturbation to orgasms during intercourse.
Okay. Well, they say masturbatory orgasms can be more intense.
Really?
Yeah, for a lot of women.
Why is that?
Because, you know, when you're masturbating, you can really focus on the clitoris.
Right.
Direct stimulation.
Correct.
But during sex,
yeah,
the penis, it's kind of stimulating the clitoris indirectly.
Oh, I see.
In passing, almost.
Right, right.
And that feeling of fullness in the vagina, it can actually muffle the clitoral sensations.
Interesting. So it's not just psychological.
No, there's a physical component, too.
Now, what about simultaneous orgasms?
Ah, the holy grail.
Right. The tutorial has this interesting take.
Oh, yeah.
They say, yeah, it might feel explosive.
But you might actually be less aware of the sensations.
Because you're so focused on yourself.
Right. And afterwards, you might feel disoriented, even disappointed.
Huh. That's something to think about.
It is. So they're saying, like, an orgasm during sex, it might be what some women prefer.
For emotional reasons.
Right, the feeling of connection.
Yeah, feeling loved.
But you can still have a fulfilling experience.
Absolutely.
Without an orgasm.
Absolutely.
And they're big on masturbation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they say it's great for relieving tension.
Recharging the body.
Yeah, and even revitalizing the mind.
It's good for you.
It is. And finally, they talk about multiple and sequential orgasms.
Okay.
So they make a distinction. True multiple orgasms.
One right after the other?
Yeah, those are rare.
Whereas sequential...
With a little gap in between.
Those are more common.
Okay.
But they also say, like, a lot of women are perfectly happy with one good orgasm.
One and done.
Exactly. And they mention that the clitoris can stay hypersensitive for a while.
After orgasm?
Yeah. So, you know, keep that in mind.
All right, now let's talk about the G-spot.
The elusive G-spot.
Right. So the tutorial explains it's named after this guy.
Ernst Greffenberg.
Yeah.
And it's this area about 2 inches inside the vagina towards the front wall.
And what does it do?
Well, for some women, stimulating it can be incredibly pleasurable.
Like really intense?
Really intense. They even compare it to the male prostate.
Really?
Yeah, they say stimulating either one can lead to orgasm.
Okay.
And sometimes ejaculation of fluid.
Oh, wow. And how do you find it?
They suggest exploring with a finger.
Yourself or with a partner?
Exactly. Or during rear entry intercourse, maybe with a pillow under her hips, to tilt the pelvis.
Oh, I see, to give better accent.
Yeah. But they stress communication is key.
Of course. Now, what about anal sex?
Anal sex, yeah.
So the tutorial gives some historical context.
Oh, yeah.
It says it goes way back, like centuries.
Interesting.
And they cite this survey from Redbook saying it's actually pretty common among heterosexual couples.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Me neither. But they also say not all homosexual people do it.
Right. You can't generalize.
Exactly. They cite the Kinsey Institute for that.
Good source.
Right. They do talk about the risks.
Of course, HIV.
Yeah, they say unprotected anal sex. That's the riskiest for transmission.
Makes sense.
But they also make this important point.
What's that?
If neither partner has HIV, then anal sex can't cause AIDS.
Right. It's the virus that causes AIDS.
Exactly. But if one partner is infected and they have anal sex without a condom, the chances of transmission are very high.
Because of the rectal lining.
Right. It can tear easily.
And they strongly recommend against it.
Understandably.
Yeah. And for those who do choose to have anal sex, they give some important precautions.
Like what?
Always use a water-based lubricant.
Okay.
The rectum doesn't self-lubricate.
Right.
And if you're going to have vaginal sex afterwards, wash the penis thoroughly first.
To avoid transferring bacteria.
Exactly. And prevent vaginal infections.
That's really important.
It is.
Okay. So, condoms.
Condoms.
They have a whole section on how to use them.
Step by step.
Right? So you unroll it a little bit. You squeeze the tip to get the air out.
That little reservoir tip.
Right. Yeah.
Important step.
Put it on the head of the penis.
And roll it all the way down.
Should fit snugly.
Snugly.
Then, after ejaculation, hold the base of the condom.
So it doesn't spill.
Right. And then carefully pull it off.
Dispose of it properly.
Avoid any contact with the vagina.
Very important.
And they even suggest, like, making it fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like putting it on with your lips and tongue.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
But carefully.
Yeah, watch the teeth and jewelry.
Right. All right, moving on to contraception.
Big topic.
Huge. So they go through a bunch of different methods.
Okay, let's hear it.
So first, there's the ovulation testing pack.
That's like natural family planning, right?
Yeah, you monitor your urine to figure out when you're fertile.
Yeah.
They say it's 93–95% reliable.
Not bad. Then there's just straight up natural family planning.
Which is?
Charting your temperature, abstaining during ovulation.
That takes discipline.
It does. And if your cycles are irregular, you could get pregnant.
So not foolproof.
Not foolproof, no.
Okay. The pill?
Yeah.
Up to 99% reliable.
If you take it correctly.
Right. And it's convenient, spontaneous.
Regulates your cycle, can reduce pain and bleeding.
Yeah. And there's the progestogen-only pill.
That one's good for breastfeeding mothers.
Right. Condoms, of course.
Condom.
85–98% effective.
It's a barrier method.
It prevents sperm.
And protects against STDs.
Right. Dual protection.
Very important.
Then there are caps and diaphragms.
Those go over the cervix.
With spermicide.
You need a fitting for those.
From a doctor.
And they're about 95% effective.
Okay. The female condom.
That's an interesting one.
It lines the vagina.
Inner ring goes over the cervix. Outer ring sits on the labia.
It's made of polyurethane.
Pre-lubricated, single use.
Just as effective as other barriers.
They even mention, like, you got to guide the penis during insertion.
Oh, right, to make sure it goes in the condom.
And twist the outer ring for removal.
IUDs.
That's the intrauterine device. Or coil.
It's plastic or copper.
Goes in the womb.
A doctor has to insert it.
Right.
96–99% effective.
Wow, that's high.
It has strings, so you can check it's in place.
Okay.
Lasts about 5 years.
And it can cause some discomfort.
Yeah, maybe some bleeding.
Right. Contraceptive injections.
Those are hormones, progestogen. You get them every 8–12 weeks. Virtually 100% reliable.
They mess with your cycle a bit.
Right. Contraceptive implants.
That's a little rod, goes under the skin.
On your arm.
Yeah, upper arm.
Releases hormones.
Lasts up to 5 years, over 99% reliable.
But again, periods might get irregular.
Then there's emergency contraception.
The morning after pill.
Up to 72 hours after sex.
And it's
96–99% effective.
Wow. They really hammer home the point about condoms.
Yeah, for STDs.
Even if you're using another method.
Dual protection is key.
Right. And basic hygiene.
They talk about that too.
Like?
Wash your genitals, your anus, before sex.
Okay.
Soap and water.
Soap and water.
And avoid deodorants and perfumes down there.
Why?
They can taste bad, and some vaginal deodorants are actually harmful.
Oh, right. And watch anything you've used anally.
Before using it anywhere else.
Okay, now let's get into the topic of homosexuality.
Okay.
So the tutorial, starts by saying human sexuality is complex.
It's not just black and white.
Right, not just heterosexual or homosexual.
There's a whole spectrum.
Of what?
Sexual attraction, emotional affinities.
Right, it's fluid.
And they say society, loves to label people.
To put people in boxes.
To create order, maybe.
But it also creates outcasts.
Exactly. And they question the whole idea of trying to explain or cure homosexuality.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, why is society so focused on being heterosexual?
That's a good question.
Right. It's all about conformity.
To societal norms.
Exactly. So they're saying those who feel different, they're not unnatural.
It's the restrictions that are unnatural.
Precisely.
They also mention the Kinsey report.
Oh, yeah.
They say it showed 1 in 3 men had a homosexual experience to orgasm.
So it's not as uncommon as people might think.
Right. And they even bring up animals.
Animals?
Yeah, they say humans aren't the only ones who engage in same-sex activity.
Interesting. So they're saying it's part of nature.
Basically. Then they talk about homosexual male encounters.
Okay.
They say they tend to be less rigid than heterosexual ones.
In what way?
Like less focused on performance.
Uh-huh.
Both partners often orgasm.
Makes sense.
And there's this feeling of liberation.
Because there's no pressure to perform.
Right. And it can be more about mutual satisfaction.
Sounds nice.
And they say sometimes sex can come before friendship.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that these relationships can be more honest.
Interesting. But they stress condoms are crucial for anal penetration.
Of course. For disease prevention.
They also mentioned finger condoms.
For what?
For safer digital play, lubrication and protection.
Right. And washing before and after.
Always.
And washing any vibrators.
If you're sharing them.
Okay. Then there's lesbianism.
Oh.
So they suggest it can be a rebellion against male dominance.
A reaction to bad experiences with men?
Right. Either as lovers or partners.
Uh-huh.
And they emphasize the emotional connection.
Between women.
Yeah, that deep understanding.
It's a different dynamic.
It is. Okay, now kissing.
Kissing, all right.
The tutorial goes into this whole thing about how there are endless ways to kiss.
From playful pecks to passionate French kisses.
Tongue action.
And they say a lot of people are bad kissers.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of funny, but maybe true.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the French kiss, they say it might come from prehistoric times.
What?
Yeah, like mothers feeding their babies mouth to mouth.
Oh, wow.
But now it's associated with arousal.
Makes sense. And they say a deep kiss is often like the first sign of attraction.
Oh, okay.
And if it disappears early in a relationship, that might be a bad sign.
A sign that things are fizzling out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They also give some kissing tips.
Like what?
Find their teeth with your lips and tongue first.
To avoid any accidental biting.
Right.
Good advice.
Vary the pace. Who initiates the kiss?
Keep things interesting.
Right. And they say avoid kissing or oral sex. If either of you has a mouth or throat infection.
You don't want to spread germs.
And they even talk about facial hair.
Oh, yeah.
Stubble, they say, is less erotic.
Than a clean-shaven face.